the trigger. So when you are fighting with your wife or your sister or your friend or whoever the fuck it is, you're actually fighting your parent in that moment. That is what your body's feeling. So again, though, that's the beauty of the relationship, because normally the other person is not conscious of what you're doing and they're just pissed off and you're both triggered because that other person you're fighting with is also in their childhood and you guys are just going at it. But if you're conscious and you choose to have a conscious relationship and your partner knows what's happening, again, they get to step forward for you and help you. You know, it's hard though, two of you in the trigger at the same time. So it's also like a subconscious, which one of you feels stronger in the moment to take the lead, because it's always going to have to be one of you that's willing. Okay. Or, you know, as we learn in therapy and teach couples, you know, there's also things, tips, ways, tools that you have where you almost come to a mutual in the beginning of like, oh God, we're both in it. Okay. Like a safe word or something. It could be like, let's put on that one song right now. Let's go take a walk, or you take a walk and I go ride my spin bike, or like we do a thing for 5 minutes and then we come back so we can both be going at the same time to help, something to stop whatever is perpetuating. But yeah, like it's a crazy thing to think that when you're in it, you're actually fighting the past.
Yeah. And you're not even, you know, when you're fighting, your nervous system's out of whack. So you're not thinking logically. You're not going to say the right thing. So
You're
something,
in fight or flight.
yeah, something I think you and I have done really well at, and you know, to give us credit, is we've come up with these sort of like rituals, where, you know, when we're deep in our stuff, there's like, hey, do you want to talk in 10 minutes? I try my hardest when we're together in those moments to hug her so she knows she's not abandoned, because I know that's her biggest thing. Like, I made the mistake early on in our relationship of doing the old Tate and like, okay, I'll just talk to you later. And like, I think we talked, I don't know if we talked that night, but it was bad. And you were like, this is the biggest trigger for me. You can't do it. Like, it was probably our first real big blowout. And you probably,
Well, we didn't talk that night. And then we always have a thing because we are, again, long distance. We have our also like rituals and times like we talk.
yeah.
And then you purposely didn't call me in the morning, which we always have our time when we talk. And it was just like, oh, what? Oh, what? I was busy. Which is like, oh, okay, Dad, thank you.
Right. And yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
But again, I would have never learned that lesson had we not had that fight. So, and that's the big thing for any couple going through their stuff, is like, if you can't recognize where the trigger is coming from, and it's yourself, it's your childhood, it's your wounding, you're never going to help the other person to recognize theirs. So, you know,
So that's like a number one, though, is your self-awareness. And number two is to be able to share with each other. You know, I think a lot of times we have shame in wanting to share past, even with the partner. Really, to recognizing if you don't feel safe to share with your partner, you either have major disconnection within yourself or it's not the right partner for you. It's a huge thing too in imago therapy. One of the first 2-3 sessions that we do is to actually share the story of your wounding so they can get that idea why it's there for you, to understand you, to empathize with you. So when it comes up, doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, by the way. It doesn't mean you're instantly like, oh yeah, your mom wound. Oh my God, I feel bad for you, because you're still in your shit. But in the middle of it, often back of your head is like, oh God, okay, there, yes, it's the mom wound. Okay. And it helps you take a breather, at least take a beat for a minute and maybe take it down a notch, even if it's not perfect. It's at least a start of the process.